Life has a way of testing us, not to break us, but to remind us that control is often an illusion. We exhaust ourselves trying to dictate every outcome, micromanage timing, and shape how others respond, as if life were a puzzle we could force into place through sheer will. But the tighter we grip, the more slips through our fingers. The truth is, the universe operates on its own rhythm, and our insistence on forcing things only creates resistance. What if, instead of wrestling with life, we learned to flow with it? Surrender isn't about giving up, it's about trusting that the right opportunities will arrive at the right time, that setbacks are redirections, and that what's meant for you will find its way. When we release the need to control, we open ourselves to synchronicity, to the quiet guidance of intuition, and to a deeper kind of effort, one that feels less like struggle and more like alignment. The things you've been chasing aren't lost, they're simply waiting for you to stop straining against the current, and instead let it carry you. Surrender is the art of believing that the universe is conspiring in your favor, even when the path isn't clear, and in that trust, everything unfolds. The universe operates not as a chaotic void, but as a vast intelligent energy field that responds to the frequencies we emit, our vibration. In Buddhism, this understanding is deeply woven into the fabric of spiritual wisdom. The universe is not indifferent or random, but a mirror reflecting back the energy we project. Your vibration is the silent language of your soul, the unseen current that carries your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs out into the cosmos. When you vibrate from a place of calm assurance, trust, and gratitude, you are essentially whispering to the universe, "I am open, I am ready, I am already whole." In response, life begins to rearrange itself, bringing you experiences, people, and opportunities that resonate with that same energy. But here's where so many of us stumble. When we approach our desires from a place of desperation, we unknowingly broadcast a different message entirely. Desperation is not just an emotion, it's a distortion of your natural frequency. It screams, "I don't have enough, I am not enough. This must happen now, or I will collapse." And the universe, ever the faithful listener, answers by amplifying that very lack. Think of it like tuning a radio. When you're dialed into the station of fear, urgency, and control, all you receive is static, misaligned signals, missed opportunities, and the exhausting sense that you're fighting against an invisible tide. This is why forcing outcomes rarely works in the long run. You might hustle, manipulate, or claw your way toward a goal, but if your inner world is vibrating with anxiety, the external results will always feel hollow, fleeting, or just out of reach. The universe doesn't reward desperation, it rewards alignment, and alignment isn't about passive waiting, it's about active trust. It's the difference between clutching a seed in your fist, demanding it grow, and planting it in fertile soil, watering it patiently, and trusting the sun to do its part. This is where the ancient wisdom of Wu Wei from Taoism intersects with Buddhist thought, effortless action. It's the art of doing without forcing, of moving with the current, rather than against it. When you align your vibration with the energy of what you desire, feeling the joy of it, as if it's already yours, you enter a state of flow, doors open effortlessly, synchronicities appear, people show up at the perfect moment. But the moment you revert to desperation, the flow narrows. Have you ever noticed how the things you chase often seem to evade you, while the things you release with grace somehow find their way back? That's the universe responding to your shift in energy. Consider this: a musician doesn't create beautiful music by strangling the instrument. They surrender to the rhythm, trusting their skill and the harmony of the notes. In the same way, your life becomes a symphony when you stop gripping the outcomes and start dancing with the present moment. Desperation contracts, trust expands. This is why mindfulness and meditation are so pivotal. They train you to observe your thoughts without being hijacked by them, to return to a baseline of calm where your true vibration can resonate clearly. When you meditate, you're not just quieting your mind, you're recalibrating your frequency, shedding the layers of lack, and returning to your natural state of abundance. Now let's address the paradox. How can you pursue goals without slipping into desperation? The answer lies in detachment, not from your desires, but from the rigid timelines and conditions you've attached to them. Visualize your dreams vividly, then release them like a paper boat onto a river. Trust that the current will carry them to you in the right form, at the right time. Take inspired action, but let go of the obsession with how and when. The universe's timing is precise, even when it feels delayed. Every no, every detour, every seeming failure is a rerouting towards something greater than you could have orchestrated alone. This is where faith becomes practical. Faith isn't blind hope, it's the quiet certainty that the universe is always conspiring for your growth, even when the path is obscured. When you stop vibrating with fear and start radiating trust, you'll notice subtle shifts, a chance encounter, an unexpected opportunity, a sudden insight. These are the universe's way of nodding back at you, confirming your alignment. But the moment you tense up, demanding proof or rushing the process, you reintroduce resistance. The key is to soften, breathe. Remember that you are not separate from the universe, you are an extension of it, and it of you. Your vibration isn't just a personal state, it's your dialogue with the cosmos. So how do you maintain this elevated vibration amid life's challenges? It begins with daily practices, gratitude, to anchor you in abundance, mindfulness, to dissolve fear-based thoughts, and surrender to remind you that you are supported. When doubts arise, acknowledge them, but don't let them steer your energy. Reframe lack as curiosity. I wonder how the universe will bring this to me. This keeps your frequency open and receptive, and when you catch yourself slipping into control, gently return to your breath. Trust is a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Ultimately, the universe is not something to conquer or plead with, it's a partner in your evolution. Your vibration is your invitation, your magnet, your prayer. Stop shouting from a place of need, and start humming from a place of wholeness. What you seek is also seeking you, but it can only find you when you're standing in the right frequency. So let go, trust, and watch how the universe leans in, ready to co-create with you. The illusion of control, how tightening your grip, blocks the flow of life. One of the most profound truths in Buddhism, and indeed in many wisdom traditions, is that our relentless pursuit of control doesn't secure our happiness, it stifles it. At first glance, control feels like safety. We plan, we predict, we micromanage, believing that if we can just orchestrate every detail, we'll avoid pain and secure the outcomes we desire. But life doesn't operate like a spreadsheet. The more we try to force circumstances into our narrow vision of how things should be, the more we disrupt the natural harmony of existence. Picture a river. You can try to dam it, redirect it, or even freeze it, but the water's essence is movement. The moment you resist its flow, you create turbulence, not just in the river, but in yourself. This is the paradox of control. The tighter we cling, the more we suffocate the very things we cherish, relationships, opportunities, even our own peace. The irony is that control is often rooted in fear, fear of uncertainty, fear of loss, fear of failure. But fear is a low vibration energy, and when we operate from it, we inadvertently block the higher frequencies of trust, creativity, and serendipity. Think of a gardener who digs up seeds daily to check their growth. In her anxiety, she disrupts the very process she hopes to cultivate. Similarly, when we obsess over outcomes, constantly recalculating, second-guessing or manipulating, we uproot the organic unfolding of our lives. Control doesn't guarantee success, it guarantees exhaustion. And worse, It blinds us to the subtle gifts the universe offers when we loosen our grip. The unexpected opportunity that arises when plan A fails, the profound lesson hidden in a detour, the people who enter our lives only when we stop forcing connections. True power lies not in domination, but in surrender, a concept often misunderstood as passivity. Surrender isn't resignation, it's intelligent cooperation with life. It's the difference between white-knuckling a steering wheel and trusting the road, your intuition, and the laws of motion to guide you. When you surrender, you act with clarity and intention, but you release the compulsion to micromanage every variable. You show up, do your part, and then this is the crucial step, you let go. This applies to external circumstances like career goals or relationships, and your internal world, like trying to suppress emotions or rigidly think positive. Emotions, like weather patterns, aren't meant to be controlled, they're meant to be observed, felt, and allowed to pass. When you stop resisting your own humanity, your doubts, your vulnerabilities, you dissolve inner conflict, creating space for authentic peace. The universe operates on principles of flow and reciprocity. When you stop blocking the current with your need for control, life begins to carry you. Synchronicities multiply, effort diminishes, doors open not because you forced them, but because you've aligned with the rhythm of possibility. This isn't mystical idealism, it's practical wisdom. Consider how many breakthroughs in science, art, or personal growth arise not in moments of frantic effort, but in moments of release, when the mind is relaxed, the heart is open, and the illusion of control is set aside. The Buddhist concept of non-attachment and the Taoist principle of wu-wei effortless action both point to this truth. What you cling to, you lose. What you release, you often receive in its purest form. So how do you practice this surrender? Start small. Notice where you're gripping too tightly, whether it's an expectation of how someone should behave, a rigid timeline for success, or an obsession with perfect outcomes. Then consciously loosen your hold. Replace this must happen with I trust what unfolds. Take inspired action, but detach from the form the result will take. And when fear whispers that letting go is dangerous, remind yourself, control was never real to begin with. The only thing you ever truly controlled was your resistance, and in releasing that, you unlock a life of far greater grace, ease, and unexpected wonder. The universe doesn't need your management, it needs your trust. And when you give it, you'll find that what you've been seeking was never lost. It was simply waiting for you to stop blocking its path. The art of allowing, how surrender unlocks what control cannot. Letting go of control isn't surrender to apathy, it's surrender to possibility. Too often, we mistake control for commitment, believing that white-knuckling our desires proves our dedication. But true commitment isn't about force, it's about focus. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up daily to check its progress. You trust the soil, the rain, the sun, the invisible intelligence of growth. Your goals are no different. By releasing the compulsion to micromanage every detail, you create space for serendipity. The universe operates through channels we can't always perceive, a delayed job offer that leads you to a better position, a failed relationship that redirects you to your soulmate, a rejection that spares you from a path misaligned with your purpose. Control is the illusion that we know better than life's unfolding wisdom. But when you loosen your grip, you allow life to surprise you with solutions more elegant than your plans could ever devise. This shift from forcing to allowing transforms your energy from scarcity to receptivity. Consider how a clenched fist can't receive a gift. Your desperation to control outcomes often stems from a fear that without your intervention, nothing will work out. But what if the opposite were true? What if your interference is the very obstacle? The Buddhist concept of pratyasamutpada, Dependent origination teaches that all phenomena arise in connection with countless causes and conditions, most beyond your awareness. When you stop rigidly dictating the how, you become available to the universe's how, which might involve people you haven't met, ideas you haven't considered, or timing you couldn't predict. This isn't passive waiting, it's active trust. You take steps forward, but you release the obsession with the shape of the result, like a sailor adjusting sails to the wind rather than demanding the wind change direction. You cooperate with forces greater than yourself. The sacred pause. Why silence is the soil of clarity. In our hyper-connected world, silence has become an endangered experience. We equate busyness with productivity, noise with engagement, and constant stimulation with living fully. Yet Buddhism reveres silence as the canvas upon which wisdom paints its insights. Imagine your mind as a snow globe, perpetually shaken by notifications, worries, and distractions. How can you see clearly when the flakes never settle? Silence isn't merely the absence of sound, it's the presence of attention undistracted. It's in these quiet moments that intuition speaks loudest, not in words but in knowing. A solution you've strained to find suddenly appears when you step away from thinking. A decision that felt heavy becomes light when you stop debating and listen to the quiet pulse beneath the noise. This inner silence has an external counterpart. Society rewards volume, louder voices, quicker reactions, more opinions. But there's profound power in strategic silence. When you refrain from immediately reacting to provocation, you disrupt the cycle of impulsive drama. When you resist the urge to fill every conversational pause, you create space for depth to emerge. Silence is the antidote to the performative chaos of modern life. It declares that your worth isn't tied to your visibility, your peace isn't contingent on external validation, and your deepest truths don't require an audience. In meditation, this is called noble silence, a conscious withdrawal from the chatter that obscures reality. Practiced daily, it becomes a superpower, the ability to discern when to speak and when to let silence speak for you. The Alchemy of Stillness, how to cultivate quiet in a noisy world. Creating silence begins with small rebellions against the noise. Start with the spaces between activities, the shower, the walk, the drive home. Resist the reflex to fill them with podcasts or music. Let your mind wander without agenda. Notice how, in these gaps, ideas synthesize themselves, tensions dissolve, and creativity stirs. Next, practice listening silence in conversations. Most people don't listen. They reload their next talking point. When you truly listen, without planning your response, you hear not just words, but the unmet needs and unspoken fears beneath them. This quality of attention transforms relationships. Then there's the silence of surrender, the moment you admit, I don't know. Our fear of uncertainty fuels endless mental noise as we try to figure everything out in advance. But wisdom often arrives when we exhaust our false certainty. Like a star visible only when you stop staring at the sky, answers come when you stop chasing them. This is why monks retreat into silence, not to escape the world but to encounter reality, without the filter of constant interpretation. You needn't live in a monastery to cultivate this. Even 5 minutes of sitting quietly, observing your breath, resets your nervous system from reacting to receiving. Over time, you'll notice synchronicities increase, not because the universe changes, but because you've stopped drowning out its whispers with your noise. The paradox of effort, doing less to accomplish more. Modern hustle culture glorifies exhaustion as a badge of honor. But the Taoist concept of Wu Wei, action through non-action, reveals the inefficiency of force. Consider how sunlight doesn't try to make plants grow. It simply shines, and growth occurs naturally. Similarly, your highest leverage actions often feel effortless. The email sent at the right moment, the conversation that flows without rehearsal, the idea that arrives fully formed. These aren't accidents, they're evidence of alignment. When you stop overworking and start trusting, you tap into the universe's productivity, where resources converge, people appear, and momentum builds almost mysteriously. This doesn't negate effort, but redefines it. Aligned action comes from inspiration, not desperation. It's the difference between pushing a boulder uphill, control, and sailing with the wind, surrender. To navigate this shift, ask, does this action feel expansive or contracting? Forcing feels heavy, flow feels light. Silence, both inner and outer, helps you discern the difference. As you practice, you'll find that what you release wasn't holding you up, it was holding you back. And what arrives in that space will prove that the universe had your back all along. You just needed to stop blocking it with your noise. The power of silence and the art of trusting timing. In a world that never stops moving, where noise floods our senses from every direction, endless notifications, the chatter of opinions, the pressure to always be doing something, we often forget the profound strength found in stillness. The more we fill our lives with noise, the less room there is for the universe to communicate with us. We get caught in the illusion that we must constantly talk, act or react to make things happen, as if our worth is measured by how busy we are. But the truth is, the universe often speaks in whispers, subtle nudges, quiet synchronicities, fleeting moments of intuition that guide us toward the right path. When we are always talking, worrying or overthinking, we create static in the signal, blocking the very messages that could lead us to clarity and fulfillment. Silence, on the other hand, is not emptiness, it is the fertile ground where wisdom grows. It allows us to tap into a deeper connection with ourselves and the unseen forces that guide us. Think of silence as a sacred space, a pause between notes that makes the music meaningful. When we embrace silence, we create room for reflection, for listening, for truly understanding what our soul is trying to tell us. In this space, we find clarity. We begin to see beyond the distractions and recognize the patterns, signs, and gentle directions that were always there, just drowned out by the noise. Silence isn't about ignoring the world, it's about finding stillness within, so we can navigate life with greater wisdom and peace. It's in these quiet moments that we hear the soft but powerful voice of intuition, the one that knows exactly which path to take. Silence speaks louder than noise because it carries truth without distortion. It is in the silence that we find our true strength, our true direction, and our deepest connection to the universe. When you learn to embrace this silence, you open the door to everything you desire, not by chasing, but by allowing. And yet, even when we learn to listen, we often struggle with the next great challenge: patience. We live in a world that thrives on instant gratification, fast answers, quick results, immediate rewards. We want success now, love now, happiness now. Waiting feels like a form of suffering, a delay in the life we believe we should already be living. But there is a profound art to trusting timing, a wisdom found in many spiritual traditions, including Buddhism, which teaches us that the universe does not operate on our schedules. It moves in rhythms far beyond our comprehension, aligning events, people, and opportunities in ways that serve our highest good, even when we can't yet see how. Imagine a seed buried in the earth. It doesn't rush to become a tree. It doesn't panic when the rain takes days to come. It simply trusts the process, knowing that growth happens beneath the surface long before anything becomes visible. In the same way, just because things aren't happening right now doesn't mean they won't. The universe may be orchestrating something far greater than what your present mind can conceive. The job you didn't get, the relationship that ended, the dream that seems delayed, these are not denials but divine redirections. Life's most beautiful unfoldings often come from what once felt like losses. Trusting timing is an act of surrender, not passivity, but a release of the need to control every outcome. It's the understanding that forcing things only leads to resistance, while allowing creates flow. When you trust timing, you let go of the anxiety that screams, "This should be happening faster," and instead embrace the peace of knowing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. This isn't about sitting back and doing nothing, it's about doing your part, taking inspired action, while releasing the attachment to how and when things should happen. It's the balance between effort and ease, between movement and stillness. When you fully embrace this trust, something remarkable happens. You begin to notice the synchronicities, the small miracles that remind you you're on the right path. A chance encounter, a sudden insight, an unexpected opportunity, these are the universe's way of whispering, "I've got you." The more you align with this trust, the more life begins to feel like a dance rather than a struggle. You realize that delays are not roadblocks but preparations, that detours are not mistakes but necessary journeys. So how do we cultivate this trust? It starts with presence. Instead of obsessing over the future or clinging to the past, we ground ourselves in the now, the only place where life truly happens. We practice gratitude for what is, rather than resentment for what isn't. We remind ourselves that the universe has never abandoned us before, and it won't start now. And most importantly, we learn to find joy in the journey, not just the destination. Because life isn't about reaching some distant finish line, it's about the steps we take, the lessons we learn, and the person we become along the way. When silence and trust come together, we enter a state of deep alignment, no longer fighting against life, but flowing with it. We stop drowning out the whispers of the universe with our own noise, and instead we listen. We stop forcing outcomes with frantic energy, and instead we trust, and in that space we find something far greater than instant gratification. We find peace, purpose, and the quiet, unshakable, knowing that we are exactly where we need to be. The wisdom of nature and the power of self-worth. Trusting life's perfect timing. Consider for a moment how nature operates. There are no shortcuts, no rushing, no forcing. A seed doesn't debate when to sprout. It simply responds to the conditions around it, growing in perfect alignment with the seasons. The oak tree doesn't strain to grow faster. It trusts the process, knowing that each ring in its trunk represents a necessary chapter in its story. Flowers don't bloom because they're impatient. They open precisely when their time comes, when the sunlight, soil, and climate align to support their unfolding. There's a profound lesson here for us. As human beings, when we try to force outcomes, we disrupt the natural flow of life. We create resistance where there should be ease, stress where there could be surrender. But when we learn to trust timing, to release our grip on how and when things should happen, we align ourselves with the universe's rhythm, which is always moving us toward what we need, even if it's not what we initially wanted. This trust isn't blind faith. It's an intelligent surrender. It's recognizing that the delays, the pauses, the seemingly stagnant periods of life are not obstacles but essential parts of the journey. Think of a caterpillar in its cocoon. If you were to cut it open prematurely, you wouldn't find a butterfly, only an underdeveloped creature not yet ready for flight. The struggle, the waiting, the darkness, these are what allow the transformation to take place. In the same way, our periods of waiting are often when the most important inner work happens. They give us space to refine our character, to release what no longer serves us, and to cultivate the wisdom we'll need for the next chapter. The universe isn't withholding from you, it's preparing you. Behind the scenes, invisible threads are being woven, connections are being made, and circumstances are aligning in ways you can't yet perceive. Trusting timing is about surrendering to this greater intelligence. It's understanding that the universe operates on a timescale far beyond our limited human perspective. What feels like a delay may actually be divine protection, keeping you from a path that isn't truly right for you. What appears as a closed door may be redirecting you towards something far more aligned with your soul's purpose. This doesn't mean we sit passively and expect life to happen to us. Rather, we take inspired action while releasing our attachment to specific outcomes. We show up fully in each moment, doing what feels right, then letting go of how the results should manifest. This balance between effort and ease is where true magic happens, where we become co-creators with the universe, rather than struggling against its currents. When we embrace this trust, something remarkable occurs. We stop seeing waiting as wasted time and start recognizing it as sacred preparation. The job you didn't get, the relationship that didn't work out, the dream that's taking longer than expected, these aren't failures, but necessary detours, guiding you toward what's truly meant for you. Patience, then, isn't passive. It's one of the most powerful spiritual practices we can cultivate. It's an active faith that what's meant for you cannot miss you, and what misses you was never truly yours. This mindset doesn't just bring peace, it transforms your entire experience of life. Instead of white-knuckling your way through each day, you learn to float in the river of life, trusting it will carry you where you need to go. This brings us to another profound truth. You attract what you believe you deserve. Buddhism teaches us that our reality is shaped by our inner landscape. Our thoughts, beliefs, and sense of self-worth act as magnets, drawing corresponding experiences into our lives. The universe doesn't respond to our surface-level desires. It responds to the energy we emit, based on our deepest beliefs about ourselves. If you secretly believe you're unworthy of love, no amount of affirmations will attract a healthy relationship until that core belief shifts. If you feel undeserving of abundance, you'll unconsciously sabotage opportunities that come your way. This is why inner work is so crucial, because until we heal our self-perception, we'll keep recreating the same patterns, wondering why nothing changes. But when you begin to truly know, not just intellectually believe, but feel in your bones that you are worthy of joy, peace, and fulfillment, your entire reality begins to shift. You start setting healthier boundaries because you know you deserve respect. You walk away from situations that diminish your light because you recognize your inherent value. Opportunities seem to appear more frequently, not because the universe is playing favorites, but because you're now vibrating at a frequency that allows you to see and seize them. This is the essence of the law of attraction. It's not about manipulating reality with positive thoughts, but about aligning your inner world with the outer reality you wish to experience. The journey to self-worth isn't always easy. It requires examining old wounds, questioning limiting beliefs, and sometimes facing painful truths about where we've settled for less than we deserve. But this work is sacred. It's how we break generational cycles of self-abandonment and step into our full power. Start small. Notice how you speak to yourself, how you allow others to treat you, where you compromise your truth to please others. Each time you choose yourself, when you honor your needs, speak your truth, or walk away from what dims your light, you send a powerful message to the universe. I am worthy, and the universe, like a mirror, will reflect that belief back to you in the form of people, opportunities, and experiences that match your newfound standard. When you combine this unshakable self-worth with trust in divine timing, you become unstoppable. You no longer chase, you attract. You don't force, you allow. You understand that some things must grow slowly, like the bamboo plant that spends years developing its roots underground before shooting up 90 feet in just weeks. Your current season of preparation, no matter how quiet or uncertain, is just as important as the harvest to come. So breathe, trust, know that you are exactly where you need to be, and everything meant for you is already on its way. The universe has never failed you before, it won't start now. Your only task is to keep showing up as the best version of yourself, to keep believing in your worth, and to remain open to the countless ways life may choose to surprise you. This is the art of living in flow, the intersection where self-worth meets divine timing. It's how we move through the world, not with force but with faith, not with lack but with deep knowing. And it's in this space that we discover life's most beautiful truth, that we were never meant to control everything, only to trust, to grow, and to receive the abundance that has always been ours. The self-fulfilling prophecy of belief, how your thoughts shape your reality. Consider this profound truth: your life is not happening to you, it's responding to you. Every belief you hold about yourself, whether conscious or subconscious, acts as a silent command to the universe, instructing it on what you can and cannot receive. When you move through the world convinced that struggle is your destiny, that happiness is for others but not for you, or that success always seems to elude your grasp, you aren't just thinking these thoughts, you're broadcasting them like a radio frequency, and the universe has no choice but to tune in. This isn't mystical speculation, it's the observable law of cause and effect playing out in your daily experience. Your beliefs shape your actions shape your habits, and your habits shape the trajectory of your life. If you believe you don't deserve abundance, you'll unconsciously avoid opportunities, dismiss compliments, or sabotage relationships, all while wondering why life feels so hard. The universe, in its infinite intelligence, will simply reflect back to you what you already believe to be true. This phenomenon is what psychologists call a self-fulfilling prophecy, but spiritual traditions have recognized it for millennia. Buddhism teaches that our suffering arises not from external circumstances, but from the attachments and aversions rooted in our perception. If you perceive yourself as unworthy, you'll attach to situations that confirm this belief: toxic relationships, unfulfilling jobs, or self-destructive patterns, while averting from anything that challenges it, like praise, opportunities, or love. The mind clings to what's familiar, even when what's familiar is pain. This is why two people can experience identical circumstances, a job loss, a breakup, a financial setback, and walk away with entirely different outcomes. One sees it as proof of their unworthiness, the other as a redirection towards something better. The event itself is neutral. It's the meaning you assign to it that determines its impact on your life. Breaking free from limiting beliefs requires more than positive affirmations slapped over old wounds. Real transformation happens when you trace these beliefs back to their origin, the childhood experiences, societal conditioning, or past failures that convinced you of your limitations, and consciously rewrite the narrative. Imagine your mind as a garden. Negative beliefs are weeds with deep roots. Pulling off the leaves' surface-level positivity won't stop them from regrowing. You must dig out the roots. This work isn't always comfortable, but it's necessary. When you identify a belief like "I don't deserve love," ask yourself, whose voice is that? When did I first learn this? Is this actually true, or is it a story I've outgrown? Then plant new seeds. I am worthy of love not because of what I do, but because I exist. Water these seeds daily through actions that honor your worth, setting boundaries, pursuing passions, or simply speaking kindly to yourself. The universe operates like a mirror, and here's the secret: it doesn't judge what it reflects. It doesn't decide whether your beliefs are good or bad. It simply matches your energy. If you vibrate with scarcity, Yanzo, there's never enough, you'll encounter more lack. If you vibrate with gratitude, Yanzo, there's I always have what I need, you'll notice more abundance. This isn't about denying reality or pretending challenges don't exist. It's about recognizing that your focus determines your reality. Two people can walk through the same city. One notices the litter and noise, the other the street art and sunlight. Both experiences are real, but which one would you rather live in? Your beliefs are the lens through which you interpret the world, and today you have the power to adjust the focus. Worthiness isn't something you earn, it's something you remember. You were born worthy, not because of your achievements, appearance, or approval from others, but because you are a unique expression of life itself. The universe doesn't create mistakes or second-class souls. Every spiritual tradition, from Buddhism to Christianity to indigenous wisdom, echoes some version of this truth. You are enough right now. Not when you lose the weight, get the promotion, or find the partner. The moment you stop tying your worth to external conditions, you break the cycle of seeking validation and start operating from a place of wholeness. This shift is palpable. People sense it when you walk into a room. Opportunities arise not because the world changed, but because you stopped rejecting them. Practical steps to align with this truth. 1. Audit your language. Every "I can't" or "I'm not the type of person" who is a belief masquerading as fact. Replace them with "I'm learning to" or "I choose not to" reclaim agency. 2. Act as if. If you truly believed you deserved your dream life, how would you carry yourself today? Start small, dress with intention, rearrange your space, or spend time on hobbies that light you up. 3. Celebrate evidence. The brain is wired to spot what confirms its beliefs. Keep a proof log of moments when good things came easily, when you felt valued, or when synchronicities appeared. 4. Surround wisely. You'll never believe you deserve more if everyone around you settles for less. Seek communities, books, or mentors who model the mindset you're cultivating. The most radical thing you can do is to believe, truly believe, that the universe is conspiring in your favor, not because you've manipulated it with positive thoughts, but because you've removed the barriers that were always blocking its flow. Abundance isn't a reward for the worthy, it's the natural state for those who stop resisting it. Today, right now, you're being invited to a life where ease isn't suspicious, joy isn't guilty, and love isn't conditional. The door was never locked. You were just holding the key all along. Believing you deserve what you want is not about entitlement. It's about removing the invisible barriers you've built against your own success. So many of us carry hidden doubts, whispering that we're not good enough, that our dreams are too big, or that happiness is reserved for others but not for us. These quiet, self-imposed limitations shape our reality more than we realize. When you truly embrace the idea that you are worthy, not because of what you've achieved, but simply because you exist, you stop standing in your own way. You stop hesitating before taking that bold step forward. You stop downplaying your ambitions to make others comfortable. Instead, you begin moving with quiet confidence, not because success is guaranteed, but because you trust yourself enough to try. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you release the need to prove your worth, life starts proving it for you. Opportunities arise, not as random luck, but as a natural response to your inner alignment. The right people appear, synchronicities unfold, not because the universe is rewarding you, but because you've finally stopped rejecting what was always meant for you. This shift isn't about passive waiting. It's about inspired action, rooted in self-trust. Imagine two people planting seeds. One does so with doubt, watering them sporadically, convinced nothing will grow. The other tends to their garden with patience and faith, knowing that growth takes time, but is inevitable. Both may put in effort, but only one truly expects a harvest. That expectation isn't arrogance. It's an understanding of how nature works. In the same way, when you believe you deserve love, you don't chase after those who mistreat you. You attract partners who reflect your self-respect. When you believe you deserve abundance, you don't settle for less in your career. You seek opportunities that honor your skills. And when you believe you deserve peace, you no longer tolerate the chaos of self-criticism or toxic environments. Your standards rise, not out of ego, but out of reverence for your own life. The universe operates like a mirror. It can only reflect back what you're willing to see in yourself. If you believe you're unworthy, you'll unconsciously sabotage opportunities, dismiss compliments, or cling to situations that reinforce that story. But when you change the narrative, everything shifts. Doors open not because the world suddenly became kinder, but because you've become more receptive to walking through them. People respond to you differently because you're no longer emitting signals of self-doubt. Even challenges feel different. They become lessons rather than punishments. This is the essence of the law of attraction. It's not about magically manifesting desires without effort, but about vibrating at a frequency where what you seek can find you. A musician doesn't attract a symphony by wishing. They practice daily, honing their craft until they're ready to play in harmony with the music that's always been there. In the same way, your belief in your worth is the instrument that allows life's blessings to flow through you. Worthiness isn't something you earn. It's something you remember. Beneath the layers of conditioning, past failures, or societal expectations, there's a quiet knowing that you are enough. When you operate from that space, effort feels different. You're no longer striving to fill a void. You're creating from overflow. The work you do becomes an expression of your purpose, not a desperate bid for validation. Relationships deepen because you're no longer seeking someone to complete you. You're inviting others to share in your wholeness. This is how the universe conspires in your favor, not by handing you unearned rewards, but by guiding you toward the opportunities, people and moments that resonate with your truest self. The more you trust in your own deservingness, the more life becomes a conversation rather than a struggle, a dance of giving and receiving, where you are both the student and the teacher, the dreamer and the dream. Calmness is a manifestation in itself, in a world that glorifies relentless hustle, where productivity is often mistaken for purpose and exhaustion is worn as a badge of honor. The idea that calmness could be the key to manifestation feels almost revolutionary. We've been taught that success demands struggle, that we must grind, sacrifice and outwork everyone else to deserve what we desire. But what if the real secret isn't in the chasing, but in the stillness? What if the most powerful act of creation is not force but surrender? Calmness is not passive, it is the quiet strength of alignment. When you are calm, you are not idle, you are attuned. Your mind is clear, your intuition speaks without static, and your energy resonates at a frequency that draws opportunities to you effortlessly. The universe doesn't respond to desperation, it responds to harmony, and calmness is the purest form of harmony. Consider the ocean. On the surface, waves rise and fall, storms rage, and currents shift unpredictably. But beneath all that movement, there is a deep, unwavering stillness, an anchor that remains undisturbed, no matter what happens above. This is the essence of true manifestation. The chaos of the world will always try to pull you into its frenzy, but when you cultivate calmness, you become like the depths of the ocean, unshaken, expansive and magnetically powerful. In that stillness, you stop forcing outcomes and instead allow them to unfold. You stop begging the universe for signs and start recognizing them everywhere. You release the need to control every detail and instead trust in the intelligence of life's timing. This is not laziness, it is wisdom. The most profound transformations often happen not in the whirlwind of action, but in the silent spaces between, the moments when you pause, breathe, and remember that you are not separate from the flow of creation, but an essential part of it. Calmness is the antidote to resistance. Every time you worry, overthink or rush, you send a message to the universe that you don't trust, not in yourself, not in the process, not in life itself. That energy of distrust becomes a barrier, repelling the very things you're trying to attract. But when you choose calmness, you dissolve that resistance. You align with the truth that everything you desire is already on its way to you, and your only job is to prepare the space within to receive it. Think of it like tuning a radio. Anxiety and fear are static, distorting the signal, while calmness is the clear frequency where inspiration, synchronicity, and opportunity come through perfectly. This is why so many breakthroughs happen when we least expect them: in the shower, on a walk, or in the quiet moments before sleep. It's not coincidence, it's physics. The universe responds to coherence, and calmness is coherence in its purest form. There's a reason ancient traditions from Buddhism to Stoicism emphasize stillness as the path to mastery. The Buddha didn't find enlightenment by striving. He found it by sitting beneath a tree and letting go. The Stoics didn't conquer their minds through force, but through the disciplined practice of inner peace. Even modern science confirms this. Studies show that stress narrows our perception, while calmness expands it, making us more creative, intuitive, and open to solutions we'd otherwise miss. When you're calm, you're not just more at ease, you're more intelligent, more perceptive, and more in tune with the subtle cues that guide you toward your desires. This is the paradox of manifestation. The less you chase, the more you attract. The less you cling, the more life gives you reasons to trust. So how do you cultivate this kind of calmness? It begins with a single radical shift: the decision to prioritize peace over panic, trust over control. Start small. Breathe deeply before responding to a stressful email. Sit in silence for 5 minutes instead of reaching for your phone. Notice when you're rushing and ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if I slow down? Often you'll find that the urgency is an illusion, a habit, not a necessity. As you practice, calmness becomes your default state, and from that place, manifestation becomes effortless. Opportunities seem to find you. Ideas flow without struggle. Relationships deepen naturally, not because the world has changed, but because you have. You've stopped swimming against the current and instead learned to float, and in that surrender you discover that the current was always carrying you exactly where you needed to go. This is the true power of calmness. It isn't just a state of mind, it's a state of creation. When you are calm, you are in direct communion with the universe, co-creating your reality from a place of wisdom rather than lack. You are no longer a beggar at the door of life, hoping for scraps. You are a conscious participant in its abundance, knowing that what is meant for you cannot pass you by. And so the greatest act of manifestation isn't another vision board or affirmation. It's the courage to be still, to trust, and to let your calmness speak louder than your fears. In that quiet, everything becomes possible. The alchemy of calm, how stillness becomes your greatest manifestation tool. There exists a profound paradox at the heart of creation. The more we release our grip, the more we receive. When we cultivate true calmness, not as temporary relief from chaos, but as a fundamental way of being, we engage in the highest form of manifestation. This isn't the naive calm of wishful thinking, but the dynamic calm of a master gardener who tends the soil without digging up seeds to check their growth. Every spiritual tradition whispers this truth in different languages. The Taoists call it Wu Wei, effortless action. The Buddhists term it right effort, and modern physics demonstrates it through the principle of least action. When you trust the universe from this place of deep calm, you're not being passive, you're participating in creation at the quantum level, where intention and reality dance as partners rather than adversaries. The vibration of trust you emit when calm operates like a cosmic homing beacon. Consider how radio telescopes detect faint signals from distant galaxies by filtering out Earth's electromagnetic noise. Similarly, your calm mind becomes a perfect receiver-transmitter for universal intelligence. Stress and anxiety create psychic static that distorts your signal, while calmness provides the clear channel through which synchronicities travel. Neuroscientists have found that in states of calm focus, our brains exhibit theta wave activity, the same brain waves present during profound creativity and sudden insights. This explains why solutions often appear during showers or walks. It's not that the universe withholds answers until we relax, but that our calm state finally allows us to perceive what was always there. Aligned action born from calm carries an entirely different quantum signature than frantic effort. Picture two artists. One paints with trembling hands, obsessing over each stroke, while the other moves with quiet assurance, trusting the creative impulse. Both may complete the painting, but which carries the energy of mastery? Modern physics confirms this ancient wisdom. The observer effect shows how consciousness influences reality at subatomic levels. When you act from calm certainty, your very molecules organize differently, creating a resonant field that attracts matching circumstances. This explains the lucky breaks that seem to find certain people. Their calm expectation functions as an invisible ordering principle, arranging the probability field in their favor. Detachment from outcomes, often misunderstood as indifference, is actually the highest form of participation. The Bhagavad Gita teaches this as skill in action, where one works with full commitment yet without bondage to results. In practical terms, this means holding your vision with an open palm rather than a clenched fist. A beautiful metaphor exists in sailing. You can't control the wind, but by adjusting your sails' intentions while remaining attuned to currents, universal timing, you reach your destination with surprising grace. The moment you release calendar-based expectations, you enter what Einstein called the fourth dimension, where time becomes fluid, and miracles are simply natural laws operating beyond your previous perception. Calmness as manifestation reveals its deepest magic in what mystics call the gap, those pregnant pauses between thoughts where infinite potential resides. In these moments, you're not visualizing, affirming or acting, you're simply being, and in that pure beingness, you merge with the creative source itself. The 14th century Christian mystic Meister Eckhart described this as living without a why, where your entire existence becomes prayer. Modern manifestation teachers might call it living in the wish fulfilled. When calm permeates your cells, every breath whispers to the universe, I already am what I seek. This isn't pretending, it's the ultimate truth recognized. From this space, what you call manifestation is simply reality adjusting to reflect your knowing. The practical path to this power begins with micro shifts, the conscious breath before responding to provocation, the intentional pause before checking your phone, the sacred no to unnecessary urgency. These become neural pathways of calm. Over time, you'll notice synchronicities increasing not because the universe changed, but because your perception unclouded. Like a pond settling, the reflections become clear only when the waters are still. Your calmness then becomes self-reinforcing, each trusting moment building evidence that the universe is indeed conspiring in your favor. Ultimately, calm manifestation asks one revolutionary question: what if you're not behind schedule, but exactly on time? What if every delay was actually cosmic realignment? When you stand firmly in this knowing, you don't just attract better circumstances, you become the kind of person for whom blessings are inevitable. This is the great secret hidden in plain sight. Manifestation isn't something you do, but someone you become. And that becoming happens most powerfully, not in the storm, but in the sacred eye of the hurricane, where all is calm and all is possible. The alchemy of calm. How stillness becomes the ultimate creative force. True abundance doesn't come from chasing, it emerges from the fertile ground of inner stillness. When we cultivate deep calm, we're not just passively waiting for good fortune, we're actively participating in creation at the most fundamental level. This calm isn't the absence of action, but the presence of perfect alignment, like a master archer whose power comes not from muscle strain, but from complete focus and effortless release. Modern neuroscience confirms what ancient wisdom traditions always knew. Our brains in meditative states produce theta waves that enhance creativity and problem-solving by up to 50%. This is why breakthroughs often come in showers or during walks, not because we stopped working, but because we stopped straining. The paradox of manifestation reveals itself here. What appears as letting go is actually the most powerful form of co-creation. Consider how a farmer trusts the seasons. They prepare the soil and plant seeds with care, then surrender to natural rhythms without digging up plants daily to check growth. This balanced approach mirrors the ideal relationship with our desires. Psychological studies on paradoxical intention show that releasing obsessive attachment to outcomes frequently produces better results than white-knuckled effort. The moment we stop forcing, we remove the resistance that was blocking what we sought all along. Attachment creates what physicists call interference patterns in our energy field. Just as muddy water can't reflect the moon clearly, an agitated mind can't reflect our true desires accurately. The Buddhist concept of non-attachment, not indifference but wise engagement, teaches us to hold dreams like a bird in an open palm, with care but without crushing. Modern quantum physics echoes this in the observer effect, demonstrating how expectation influences outcome at subatomic levels. When we release death grip control, we allow the universe's infinite intelligence to arrange circumstances in ways our limited minds couldn't conceive. Practical calmness manifests through what I call the 3 sacred pauses. 1. The breath before action, creating space between stimulus and response. 2. The silence before speech, allowing wisdom to emerge from stillness. 3. The stillness before sleep, programming the subconscious with intention. These become neural pathways that rewire us for receptivity. Historical figures from Einstein to Edison credited their breakthroughs to these states of quiet awareness, what Einstein called combinatory play. When we regularly access this space, we develop what neuroscientists term predictive relaxation, the ability to remain composed because our nervous system remembers that solutions always come. The magic of surrender works because it aligns us with nature's intelligence. Watch how trees grow. They don't force their branches upward through sheer will, but rise effortlessly toward sunlight through natural bioelectrical processes. Similarly, our deepest growth happens not through struggle, but through attunement. The ancient Chinese philosophy of Wu Wei describes this as action through non-action, the paradox where greatest influence comes from harmonious alignment rather than brute force. Consider the metamorphosis of a butterfly. If you helped a struggling chrysalis open prematurely, you'd cripple the creature. The struggle itself pumps necessary fluids into wings. Our lives mirror this. What we perceive as delays or obstacles are often essential preparation periods. Calmness allows us to discern between productive action and fearful rushing. Data shows that top performers across fields share one trait, the ability to maintain relaxed concentration, where peak performance emerges from ease rather than tension. This understanding transforms how we approach desires. Instead of anxiously sending out mental orders to the universe, we cultivate the quiet certainty of someone who's already received. There's a profound difference between saying, "I want abundance" from lack and whispering "thank you" from grateful expectation. The latter creates an electromagnetic field, measurable by heart-math research, that literally attracts different realities. The journey from struggle to surrender follows 3 evolutionary stages. 1. The worker believing effort alone creates results. 2. The strategist learning to work with universal laws. 3. The alchemist becoming so aligned that reality reshapes effortlessly around your being. Most people never progress beyond stage 1 because our culture glorifies struggle. Yet all mystical traditions point toward stage 3, where, as Rumi wrote, "What you seek is seeking you." Practical tools for cultivating this state include the 5-5-5 rule. When desiring something, spend 5 minutes visualizing, then 5 minutes releasing, then 5 minutes doing something enjoyable, training the mind to detach. Gratitude anchoring, associating desired feelings with present blessings, rewiring the brain's scarcity patterns. Synchronicity journaling, documenting small wins to build trust in universal support. The final revelation, what we call manifestation, is simply the universe mirroring back our inner state. Calmness isn't a tactic, it's evidence of already being who we need to be to receive our desires. In that stillness, we don't just find peace, we discover we were always standing in the promised land. Think of it like planting a seed in the ground, a small quiet act of faith. You press it into the earth, cover it gently, and step back, knowing that growth is now out of your hands. You can't force the seed to sprout faster, nor can you dictate the exact shape of its leaves or the direction of its roots. All you can do is provide what it needs: water when the soil is dry, sunlight to nourish it, and patience as it moves at its own rhythm. The rest belongs to something greater, the mystery of nature, the intelligence of life itself. In the same way, our dreams and desires need space to breathe, to unfold in their own time and in their own way. When we cling too tightly to how we think things should happen, we interfere with the natural flow of creation. But when we release our grip, when we trust the process rather than resist it, we allow the universe to work in ways far beyond our limited vision. Letting go isn't about giving up, it's about surrendering the illusion of control. So often we exhaust ourselves trying to manage every outcome, fearing that if we don't hold on tightly, everything will fall apart. But true growth doesn't happen in clenched fists. It happens in open hands. When we loosen our grip, we make room for miracles, the unexpected opportunities, the synchronicities, the gentle nudges of guidance that appear when we least expect them. This is the paradox of surrender. By releasing our need to control, we gain access to a deeper kind of power, one that aligns us with the natural currents of life, rather than forcing us to swim against them. Fear is often what keeps us clinging. The fear of losing what we have, the fear of never getting what we want, the fear that without our constant effort, everything will crumble. But fear is not a protector, it's a prison. When we let go of that fear, we step into a space of trust, trust that life is not working against us but for us, even when the path isn't clear. This doesn't mean we become passive or indifferent. It means we do our part, planting the seed, watering it faithfully, and then we release the rest, knowing that the universe has its own timing, its own wisdom. Some of the most beautiful moments in life come from what we didn't plan, what we couldn't have predicted. The job we didn't see coming, the person we met by chance, the detour that led us exactly where we needed to be. These are the gifts that arrive when we stop insisting that things happen our way and instead allow them to happen in the right way. Trust is the foundation of this surrender. It's the quiet voice that whispers, even if I don't understand right now, I believe there is a greater plan at work. It's the courage to keep moving forward without knowing every step of the journey. And the more we practice this trust, the more evidence we see of its truth, the way doors open at just the right moment, the way obstacles turn into opportunities, the way what once felt like loss reveals itself as a necessary part of our growth. The universe operates on a scale far beyond our immediate understanding, weaving together events and connections in ways we may never fully grasp. But when we stop trying to control every thread, we allow the larger tapestry to reveal itself, one stitch at a time, one day at a time, in perfect divine order. This is where the magic lives, in the space between what we can do and what we must release, between effort and surrender, between our plans and life's greater wisdom. The more we trust, the more we see that the universe is not something distant or separate from us. It is a living, breathing force that responds to our openness, our faith, our willingness to let go. And in that surrender, we find not loss but a deeper kind of gain, the kind that comes when we align ourselves with the flow of life itself. The transformative power of letting go, Letting go is one of the most profound acts of courage and trust we can practice in life. It means releasing the old habits that no longer serve us, thoughts that keep us stuck, and past disappointments that weigh us down like anchors. When we hold on to these things, we unconsciously chain ourselves to yesterday, allowing it to dictate what tomorrow will look like. But life is meant to be lived forward, not backward. Letting go is the decision to cut those chains and step into the unknown with faith, knowing that what is truly meant for us will find its way to us in perfect timing. It's not about forgetting the past or pretending it didn't shape us, but rather about refusing to let it limit what's still possible. When we cling to control, we operate from fear, the fear that if we don't micromanage every outcome, things will fall apart. But true freedom comes when we loosen our grip and allow life to unfold naturally. Think of it like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. But when you relax and open your palms, the water rests there effortlessly. In the same way, when we surrender our need to force outcomes, we create space for something greater to emerge. This doesn't mean we stop taking action or pursuing our dreams. It simply means we release our attachment to how they should come to pass. We trust that the universe has infinite pathways to bring us what we desire, often in ways far more creative than we could have planned ourselves. Letting go is an active, intentional practice, not passive resignation. It's a daily choice to detach from rigid expectations and instead embrace flexibility, curiosity, and trust. Some days, it might feel like standing at the edge of a cliff, unsure if you'll fall or fly. But that's where the magic happens. Because when we stop trying to control every little detail, we allow synchronicity to step in. Doors open that we didn't even know existed. People enter our lives at just the right moment. Opportunities arise from what once seemed like setbacks. The universe operates in divine order, and when we align ourselves with its flow instead of resisting it, we become co-creators of our destiny rather than prisoners of our own demands. One of the most beautiful truths about letting go is that it makes room for miracles. When we're so tightly wrapped up in our own plans, we leave no space for life to surprise us. But miracles rarely come from rigid expectations. They come from the unexpected, the unplanned, the moments when we finally exhale and say, "I trust you, universe." And the more we practice this surrender, the more evidence we see that life is indeed conspiring in our favor. What once felt like loss reveals itself as redirection. What once seemed like a delay turns out to be divine timing. The things we thought we wanted but never received. They make sense in hindsight when we see what we received instead. So how do we cultivate this practice? It starts with awareness, noticing when we're holding on too tightly and consciously choosing to release. It continues with faith, believing that even when we can't see the full picture, every piece is falling into place. And it deepens with gratitude, recognizing that what we have right now is already a gift, even as we remain open to more. Letting go isn't a one-time event. It's a lifelong dance of effort and ease, action and surrender. When we finally loosen our grip, we discover something extraordinary. The universe has been waiting for us to get out of our own way. The love we've been seeking, the opportunities we've been praying for, the peace we've been craving, they've always been within reach. We just had to create space for them. So take a deep breath, release what no longer serves you, trust that what is yours will never pass you by, and watch as the magic unfolds in ways more beautiful than you could have ever imagined. A moment of surrender, trusting life's perfect timing. Pause right where you are. Let your shoulders relax, soften your gaze, and take the deepest breath you've taken all day. In this quiet moment, remind yourself of a simple but profound truth. Everything you truly need is already moving toward you. The universe operates on a rhythm far wiser than our hurried minds can comprehend. When we release our white-knuckled grip on how things should be, we align ourselves with this natural flow. This isn't wishful thinking. It's the recognition that life has been conspiring in your favor long before you realized it. Every closed door, every unexpected detour, every moment that felt like a setback was actually the universe clearing space for what's meant to be. There's a sacred kind of magic that happens when we stop chasing and start receiving. Imagine standing in a river, desperately trying to push the water in a particular direction with your hands. It's exhausting and ultimately futile. But when you simply relax and let the current carry you, you discover that the river knows exactly where to go. This is the power of surrender. It doesn't mean giving up on your dreams. It means releasing your attachment to the struggle. The moment you stop forcing, you create space for grace to enter. Opportunities find you more easily. Solutions present themselves effortlessly. People appear at just the right time. These aren't coincidences. They're the universe responding to your openness. Consider this your gentle invitation to practice radical trust. When anxiety whispers that you need to control everything, answer back with this quiet assurance: I am exactly where I need to be. When impatience insists that things are moving too slowly, remember that even the mightiest oak tree was once a seed that trusted the darkness of the soil. Your current circumstances aren't permanent. They're simply the gestation period for what's coming next. The more you can relax into this truth, the more you'll notice subtle signs guiding you forward. A song lyric that speaks directly to your situation, a stranger's offhand comment that offers exactly the wisdom you needed, an unexpected opportunity that feels like divine timing. This is why the practice of pausing is so powerful. In those moments when you consciously stop, breathe, and reconnect with the present, you disrupt the cycle of worry and open a channel for intuition. You remember that you're not alone in this journey. You're being guided every step of the way. The peace you seek isn't found in the frantic pursuit of more, but in the quiet acknowledgement that you are already enough, and that everything else is unfolding as it should. As you go about your day, carry this awareness with you like a secret treasure. When challenges arise, meet them with this quiet certainty: this too is part of my becoming. When joy comes, receive it fully without clinging. And in all things, remember that the universe delights in surprising those who trust its timing. If this message brought you a moment of calm today, consider sharing it with someone who needs this reminder. Together we can create ripples of peace in a world that often forgets to breathe. Thank you for being here, for choosing trust over fear, and for allowing your life to unfold as the beautiful mystery it's meant to be. Until we meet again, may you walk through each day with an open heart and the unshakable knowing that all is well. Take gentle care of yourself, and remember the best is yet to come.